You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
I have an exciting new room setup that I'm hoping will improve my volume. I've been getting some criticism that I sound different than you, Taylor. So I've been trying to work on that.
I will say, Mike, but this has been going on a year. When I listen back to the episodes, not very often, but when I occasionally listen to the episodes, you always sound quieter than I do.
Yeah, that's
Is
also
that what
me.
people are saying?
Yeah, and it's because the room I'm in, there's too much like echoing. Like I close the
Mhm.
door, but the room's just a bit too big. I should really be like shoved
In a
into either
bathroom?
a corner or a bathroom or a closet. But so I moved my room around, so I'm a little more tucked in the corner. So I'm hoping that'll make a
Okay.
difference. Or it'll change nothing. I could also bump
Just-
my volume up. I could do that.
Or like hang like blankets around you to
I
absorb
could.
some
That's
of
a
the
lot.
noise.
Then the cat will go nuts, and it'll
Yeah.
just be a disaster.
Okay.
That's a lot
Well,
of work.
I'm glad they're critiquing you and not me.
Yeah.
I had no idea what you were going to tell me when you when you opened up.
Oh.
So, okay, that's all right. I have some news that you'll
Okay.
find really funny.
Yeah.
Dan and I have to coach Georgia's T-ball team.
Oh, that's exciting. That's fun.
Longtime listeners of the show will know.
I like how you said have to.
Yeah. Well, we show up, and this is like a very informal, loyalist. Or, anyways, I won't disclose what the sports team is, but very
You almost did.
almost did. Bleep that one out. But a very low key, community organized, whatever. And they're really little, so that they don't keep score or anything. We show up, and apparently the coach had quit before we had even started.
Okay.
So we're just problem solvers by nature, and we're like, guess we're coaching now. But
you're stepping in.
but it's literally just like telling them where to run, because they're not like, I wouldn't even say it sounds too fancy to call it a T-ball team. Like, they're not practicing or anything.
Sure.
They're just kind of like hitting the ball and then running around the bases. But
sure.
I thought you'd find that humorous.
Absolutely. And if I was in your shoes, that would not stop me from coaching the way I think things should be coached. So I would be definitely putting them through their paces.
You'd be like, no, well, we show up, and the other team is like very well organized. The woman is like putting them through drills and things. And then we find out, okay, we don't have a team, a coach, sorry. And so I'm talking to the organizers, and I'm like, oh, like such and such was doing X, Y, Z. And they're like, she's just A-type. We do not expect that at all.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Low expectations.
Very low expectations. I mean, the kids are between the ages of 3 and 7, so like, how much can you really? It seems like it's the tier before they actually are doing T-ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't recall doing this as a kid, but I'm sure I participated in a bunch of very young sports things where you barely had coaches and you just kind of did what you're supposed to do.
The parents were just, they tell you where to run.
Yeah, where to run over here, do this, do that.
Were you a baseball guy? Like, did you do baseball as a little kid?
I think so. I'm trying to remember. I think I did baseball and soccer. And then in the winter, curling, bowling, hockey, that kind of thing. I grew up in a pretty small town, and I'm pretty sure they still had almost everything, though, if
Right.
I'm remembering correctly. But off the top of my head, like, I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. Even my brain's so terrible with memories.
Did you do sports in high school, or did just drama?
No. I just did sports, I believe, when I was in elementary school, and then in high school, I didn't actually do drama till grade 10, and I didn't go on stage till grade 12. So I was in the band. I did band. Yeah, I was in band since grade 9, so I definitely did band. But I wasn't I liked drama, but I wasn't super into it for the first couple of years. It took me a few years to kind of find my footing in it, and then I did. So I think the only school related thing I did was band. I don't remember doing anything else, but I think that's what I did.
I didn't do any sports, but that comes to a shock. That comes as a shock to no one.
Yeah.
What's shocking is that I'm helping with this T-ball thing.
Yes. Yeah,
But
that's
really,
the most shocking thing because
I
I just
should
would
say
never have
that
guessed that in a million
Dan is
years.
doing the coaching and I'm doing the admin. Like
Yeah.
I'm emailing the moms or whatever.
Absolutely. That's still a very important job because I remember like this wasn't school sports, but they had I don't know what they called them. They had a name for them at lunchtime where you could sign up to be a team and it was more of a casual sports thing. And I remember doing that because I remember playing soccer, floor hockey, and something else.
Like a drop-in?
Yeah, yes, but you were on a team. So they
Oh,
called it something where it was like, oh no, you have a team and you have games you play, but it was more casual in terms of it wasn't like intense school versus school. It was all just within the school. But I don't remember what it was called. But I did that for at least grade 10 and 11 because I remember doing that at lunchtime. I would play one of the sports depending upon what the day was. It would kind of
right.
rotate. But you were on an assigned team. So like, oh, here's your 6 people. You come together and now you're playing floor hockey today. Or you're playing, was it badminton maybe? Definitely, yeah. I think it was like badminton or one of those, yeah, easier racket
We had
sports.
to this isn't a sports podcast, but one last little story to show how inept I am with sports. We had to take one in high school. We had to take one gym credit in order to graduate.
Right.
And so I waited until grade 11 to do leisure gym,
Mm.
which was like things like badminton, bowling, mini golf. We
Yeah.
did there was a yoga unit. Every week we tried a different sport.
Yeah.
I think we did like karate one week, and I was really ticked off the weeks where it wasn't so leisurely. Like I'm pretty sure we had to do like crab walking for for the karate unit. That actually might, now that I'm saying that, that might have been in elementary school. They had someone come in for a day and like
Yeah.
teach us
I
like a
definitely
karate unit.
remember playing a lot of sports in elementary school. Like I remember doing a lot of sports. I think that was just part of class though, because I also
Gym.
took gym late. Like I took gym in high school in grade 11 or 12 as well. But I remember doing this lunch hour thing at least for 2 years. But I just don't remember what it was called. And they had like this whole name for it. And it was a name that was like common. Everyone would be like, oh yeah, you did this. That makes sense. But I can't. My
Hmm.
brain is terrible at remembering anything. Um, but you know, one thing, Taylor, I will say I have been interested in since high school is movies. I've been seeing movies with friends in groups by myself
You're
since I
most
can remember.
consistent. Me
Absolutely.
as well. Like it sounds like I'm like, oh, Taylor had no extracurriculars. I didn't, but my extracurriculars were movies. I've
Absolutely.
always been a movie person.
That was a weekly occurrence for me. I saw lots of movies, especially through high school. I mean, I remember 1 or 2 years I would keep all my ticket stubs back when they had paper tickets in this little like container thing, and I had a massive pile of movie ticket stubs just going with friends, like just
That's how you were able
going
to
each week.
remember what movies you saw.
That's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't recall.
How do you
Um,
remember now? You check your emails?
yeah. Now I have this podcast,
True.
so every
You
time I
have
see
to
a movie,
remember.
I talk about it, and then weeks later, people will say, "Oh, you reviewed this movie on your podcast," and I'll say, "What? I saw that."
No memory.
Um, yeah, no memory of it whatsoever. I think I remember the good ones and the terrible ones.
Yeah, and the middle ones, who cares?
Who cares? Doesn't matter. just, just doesn't matter. So yeah, that was my way of shifting us back to talking about movies.
Yeah, cool. Do you
We
remember
can.
what you're reviewing this week? Because I
I
almost forgot my own.
yeah, you logged on today and said I almost forgot what I was reviewing. Yes, I'm reviewing The Long Walk. That's the
Was that
movie
a
I'm
summer
reviewing.
release
It,
last
it
year?
was last year's summer release. We didn't get it till the fall though.
Oh,
It was one of those weird release schedules. It's now on Crave, I think. You
mm.
can get it on Crave. So still relatively recent because it just kind of got its digital release. I didn't realize that it was a Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those like young teen novels, like
No, so was it
Hunger Games kind of thing.
you were expecting it to be a little bit lighter and it was quite dark?
No, as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is definitely a youth readers,
Oh,
movie.
really?
Oh yeah, as the movie started and as the dialogue was going in the first like 10 minutes or so, I was just like, oh, this is kind of like the Hunger Games. That's kind of the feel I'm getting. And then it took some turns where I was like,
Okay.
oh, I don't think this is for teens
So it
anymore.
wasn't it was not produced as a teen movie, correct? Like this is
No,
an
it
adult
wasn't.
drama,
It wasn't. And
thriller,
even
I
though,
guess.
yeah, like my kind of criticism of the beginning of the movie is it seemed like it, but once you settled into it, oh yeah, no, it's not for teen, like young teen
Do you
audience.
think
Because
they did that as like a freak out? Like is that the phrase? Like when you think you're going one way, another sports term. You think you're
yeah,
going you think it's going one way and then it takes a turn,
no,
right? Like
that's not a sports term, but yeah,
it isn't. What do
I don't
they
think so.
in like in football, they're running one way and then they go the other way. What's that called? Nothing?
Uh,
There's no name for that?
I mean, I'm sure there is. I can't think of it
I guess I'm
off
going
the
to
top of
have
my
to
head.
learn for softball, but
Yes, you are. Now softball and football are very
a
different,
fake
Taylor. I don't know.
out, a freak out, a fake out.
A fake
Freak
out?
out I think is what
I think a freak out is what I have on a daily basis. But yeah, a fake out. It definitely does this thing at the beginning of the movie where it kind of sets up the premise. I don't
I
know if
guess
you
my
know this
I guess
premise at
my
all.
real quick though, Mike, is that I'm trying to get the sense. Do you think they were doing what you're describing on purpose, or it was bad filmmaking? That the way they kind of switched, bait and switch. You thought it was going to be a kind of a corny teen movie, and then it shifted. Do you think that was
Yeah,
intentional?
I think it was a little intentional
Okay,
because at the beginning of the movie, they don't give you a lot of information about what they're doing. So again,
right.
I don't know if you
I
know
know
the
the plot
premise.
I know
Yeah,
the plot
so
synopsis.
basically, these teens in this dystopian future have to get together and go on this walk where whoever is the last person at the end of this walk wins money for their like state. They call it states. They also never say they're in America. Talk about that later. But basically, it's for their state, and then that they win money. So it's similar to the Hunger Games.
Right.
Um, what I didn't, what I kind of knew from the previews was this is like a life or death situation, right? That something they will die or they'll live and survive. In the movie, they kind of don't explicitly tell you that. They just call losing you'll get your ticket. So
Mm.
they were setting it up as if it was just like, oh yeah, like you'll be walking and this is going to be a movie about these like teen boys go on a walk and make some friends and a couple of them lose and they walk away kind of thing. That's kind of the beginning when the first person stops walking and there's all these rules and stuff that I can explain. But basically, when the first person stops walking, they all start freaking out. And as an audience member, I think you're supposed to not know what's coming next, which is a military officer comes up and shoots the kid in the head and he's
Yeah.
dead.
That's why I was laughing, Mike, because having known what the plot was, like you like go in being like, oh, it's gonna be like Stand By Me, like
That's right.
they're
That's
gonna
exactly it.
learn
That's
about
exactly what it felt
themselves.
like. It felt like they're going to learn about themselves, maybe have a little laughs along the way, and then a soldier shoots a kid in the
That
head,
really
and you're
upped
like,
the ante
"Whoa,
for you,
this is not." Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, okay." But I think the movie played it
right?
as if you didn't know this, and
Right.
and I was sitting here going, "Oh, we weren't
And you
supposed to really
you
know."
you didn't know because you didn't know the plot synopsis going in,
Well, I knew this was a life or death thing. I didn't know it had to. I
right?
didn't know it was like someone will kill the. I thought it was just they
Right.
walk until they die kind of thing.
Yeah, they pass out or whatever.
But there are basically this long walk happens and they have military following them the entire time. And the rule is they all have these watches that tell you what your speed is. If you drop under 3 miles per hour, you get a warning, and on your third warning, you get killed.
Hmm.
So you have to keep up a speed, and
Do they
basically
get
one person will get to the end. Is
do they
basically
get to sleep?
no, they just walk.
Right.
So the movie is about over 5 days. So it's about 5 days of walking. By the time there's like some kind of resolution at the end of the movie. I guess I could spoil this one. It's been out long enough. Obviously,
It is a book.
somebody wins, right? Like one person. So I think to me the weakness of this movie is actually its characters outside of the main two. It took me about 15 minutes of them walking to realize which two characters were going to make it to the end and who we were going to be with. Everybody, it wasn't a mystery. Everybody else was, to me, horribly underdeveloped. And I imagine in the novel, it probably spends more time with a variety of characters. Like there's one character you obviously have are the lead in with. Like this is the person who we as the audience follows into this competition. So we're obviously going to kind of focus on that person as opposed to it being an ensemble. But very clearly there are two of them that stick out. Like by the time you get down to I think five of them, I'm not even joking, Taylor. I was like, who are these other three people? Like I was just, who cares about
They
any
could
of
be
you?
shot
It's
any
just
minute now.
yeah, it's just these main two guys who you kind of get stuck with. That makes you feel like which one of them is going to win because only one of them can. And it to me, what kind of sold me on this movie was actually how it ended. I felt the movie suffered from its own premise where all you can do is for just over, I think it was just under 2 hours, is follow these teens on a walk. So in terms of cinematography, in terms of things like that's an interesting challenge. But I think the problem was is eventually there's only so much to talk about. There's only so much to happen. They tried to, I think, do too much like gross out moments and shocking moments that I just don't think worked. Like I didn't need it. Like I didn't need I don't want to get an explicit rating on our podcast, but like think toilet humor, Taylor, without the humor.
Yeah, like just gross.
That's just gross. Gross for the sake of being
boys,
gross.
like young adults walking on a road for 5 days, not being allowed to sleep. Like
but
gross things are gonna happen.
That's gross things happen. And the two main guys are the most interesting characters. Like they were really well acted. So David Johnson plays one of the two guys, and he was the person I really liked from that Alien Romulus movie. This young actor has a career in front of him. Like he's going to win awards. He's very, very good. And the other guy, I can't remember the name of his character, but he's kind of really the main character, the person we kind of walk into the world with. He was also very good. I think that the two of them, it made sense why these two actors were the leads of our group. Like they were both really good. Their characters were dynamic and interesting. To me, what, like I was kind of beginning to say, what sold me on this movie was the final 20 minutes when it's really just the two of them. And we're focusing on their pasts and their relationship and their kind of why they're both here and who they are as people. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, so spoiler alert, I am going to spoil this because it's been out for a long time. The character we started with doesn't win the competition.
Okay.
It's the other guy. And what happens is both of them try to end the competition for the other one. Like they're both going to give up. And
they want to give the money to the other guy.
That's right. That's right. And they do this really, really well done. And even filmmaking wise, like hats off to the director, well crafted sequence where the main dude we're with is walking and his friend stops walking and we, like, with the camera, continue along with him. He realizes he's not there. He runs back, forces him on his feet, and basically says, like, no, like, give me a little more time. Like, let's walk. They walk up to speed, and then he does the bait and switch, and he does it. And it was really, it was well done.
Bait and switch, Mike. That's the word I was looking for.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was really effective. That was well done. Again, I think this movie isn't going to be for everyone. It does kind of suffer from, I think, the same thing that Hunger Games suffers from, where some of the dialogue and some of the moments are a little too juvenile. But cheesy. Hunger Games has this really interesting, complex world and rules. This one kind of passes over the society and focuses on this walk and
just
this
the competition.
Just the competition itself. So you don't really learn a lot about society. Again, they did not mention where they were. They called states, but again, was it the United States? It's sort of hard to tell. In doing a bit of research, this was Stephen King's first novel. So kind of near the
read that. I could be wrong. I don't think this one has ever been adapted, and I think it's because what you're describing, Mike. How do you make a movie out of young people just walking.
It would have been better served, honestly, of a like a kind of a mini series where you
Right.
could focus on more character moments. Because I do think, like as somebody who directs stage theater, there's like a stage theater element to this because it's like one location, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
though they're walking, you're basically stuck in one location. It's very fascinating to see a filmmaker work through this problem. But I do agree. I think it's really interesting aspects of the movie were also its biggest challenges and some of its pitfalls. So I'm going to give this movie a stream it, maybe even a light stream it. I think it's better than like an airplane movie, but I do think it does suffer a bit from a few things that I'm like, I don't think the movie needed this. Like, I don't think it needed the gross out moments. I think it could have done without it. I think it makes sense some of the teenagers are acting like teenagers. I understand that. But more character development could have replaced all those moments and benefited this movie a lot.
I think in the book they're not teenagers.
They're older.
Yeah, but I
Mm.
could be wrong. I haven't
Mm.
read the book,
See, that's
but
interesting.
see that you could have gotten rid of all of that. I think they're like in their 20s and 30s in the book, but I could be wrong.
And I
Um,
imagine, I mean, I'm calling them teens. I'm sure there's a mix of ages in here. Some
right.
did seem older than others, but people did say they were quite young. So I think the oldest character we got to know was still 21, 22. Like it's still pretty young. So they're all like university age
In
and younger.
right.
So
In the book synopsis, it just says young men.
yeah. And it's
So,
the thing that I'm most fascinated about they didn't explain in the movie, which they might explain in the book or not. It's a lottery system, but it's voluntary. You
yeah.
can put your name in. That's why at first I thought, do they not know they're going to be killed? And then it became very apparent that they actually do know what this competition is about. So
I
they
think
do
they
know
do
they're
it
going to die.
because
But
don't they do it because like they're like so desperate, like kind of like
yeah,
that
yeah,
Korean show where they like volunteer. Oh, what's the name of that show? I
Squid
never.
Games.
Yeah, don't they
But Squid
volunteer in Squid
they
Games?
do volunteer in Squid Games, but in Squid Games they didn't know the first one that it was life or death. That was like a
Oh,
surprise.
okay,
They
got
thought it
it,
was
got
just a
it.
game, like a
Yeah, and
reality
they're
TV show
to
game.
make money, right? Because they're
Yeah,
also
yeah,
desperate in that.
yeah. But
Yeah,
but they didn't know, and I think
got
in
it.
this one they all knew what it was. So yeah,
Okay. Um. Yeah, The Long Walk. I think Stephen King is a very good he develops very good stories, but I've tried to read one or two of his books and I have not been able to get into it. Like
oh
his
really?
actual writing, I just can't really get into. But what an interesting concept, The Long Walk. But
It
I
is.
would have it sounds like I when I like world building, especially like in a dystopia.
Me
So
too.
I would
Yeah.
have wanted all to know all of the stuff about like why are they doing the walk? What has happened in society? You know what I mean? It sounds like maybe they don't really do that in the movie.
They
So it
don't.
might
They talk about a war that happened a long time ago, but they don't
right,
really explain why they're doing this.
right.
Um, so yeah, I think that they kind of missed the boat for me on that. Like I would have liked to have seen more of that. Just world building, like for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, like just world building, just to kind of understand what we're doing and character development. Which if they had done that, it probably would have pushed this into a see it for me. But I just felt like they spent too much time with things that weren't effective.
Cool.
So there you go.
Okay. I watched Trust Me, The False Prophet, which is a documentary miniseries on Netflix. Netflix has kind of got I've talked about this a lot. I feel like I've cornered the market on the docu-series cornered the market on docu-series. And they're still pumping them out. Not all of them are great, but they are well produced. So I was scrolling through Netflix and this one popped up. It aired in April of this year. It was uploaded to Netflix or whatever you call that. And it's 4 episodes and it is about did I say the name of it? Trust Me, The False Prophet.
Yes, you did.
Okay. And it follows uh this cult expert, Christine Marie, and her husband Tolga, and they move to Utah to live in the community where the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, or as they're commonly known, the LD. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget the acronym. The FLDS live. So people might know about the FLDS because of, oh, sorry, Mike. It's the end of the day. My brain's not working.
It's
I thought
okay.
that this would. This this article would have more details for me to pull on. Okay, so people probably remember the FLDS because of Warren Jeffs. This was in, I want to say, the early 2000s. It is an offshoot of Mormonism. They're recognizable for the way they dress and the way they braid their hair. And it's a true story. And they still exist, the FLDS. But Warren Jeffs, their leader, which there was another docu-series which I highly recommend. I think it's called Keep Sweet, also on Netflix. Follows kind of the course of Warren Jeffs and how he ends up in jail. But anyways, he ends up in jail and the community's kind of adrift. And for some reason, which isn't explicitly told in the docu-series, and I had some questions around this, but whatever. So Christine Marie and her husband move to the community, and they essentially start supporting the FLDS community through charitable work. They open up a shop for the women to work at because Christine Marie herself was Mormon, not FLDS, just mainline Mormon, and she had experienced some cultic experiences in her life, and so she really identified with these group of people and just wanted to go and support them. And in the course of living there, they meet this guy, Samuel Bateman, who also is an FLDS member, but is not well regarded within the community. And apparently everyone kind of thinks he's a buffoon. And while all this is happening, Christine Marie's husband is a videographer. He used to produce or does direct music videos. And so she's like, let's film everything. So they move to Utah and they start filming. She wants to make a documentary about the FLDS, but in a more not positive, but more neutral, because a lot of the media coverage of them so far has been really negative. So she starts filming, and in the course of being in this community, she meets Samuel Bateman, and she realizes that not only has he diverged from Warren Jeffs, he's kind of starting up his own branch of the FLDS, and it looks like he's marrying underage women. And essentially he's doing what Warren Jeffs did, but by all accounts in the community, like worse than what Warren Jeffs did.
And people can just do that. They can just start their own sort of offshoot, so long as they have people willing to go with them. Like it's just
yeah.
It's that simple.
I mean,
they just decide I want to go there. Okay.
Yeah, like so Warren Jeffs leaves, goes to jail, and he stops communicating with the community, and they're kind of adrift. And that's like a major point, I guess you could say, plot point of this story is that the community's really adrift. They're not getting any instruction. They're apparently not allowed to get married, not allowed to have babies. And so the Samuel Bateman says, and this is very big in this branch of Mormonism, that like he has gotten like a prophecy or a prophetic word that Warren Jeffs wants him to take over the church. And so he's able to essentially find a couple really high influential men in the community to believe him. And you find out a little bit later in the docuseries why they essentially like start following him, or like they have allegiance to him. And so this documentary becomes an investigative, like an amateur investigation of them, this husband and wife, collecting evidence to essentially put Samuel Bateman in jail for the, of marrying these underage women and human trafficking, sexual exploitation. And the local police don't seem very interested in the crime, but eventually the FBI does get involved. And it's really through this, like, it's not a fake documentary, because like they are filming all this and they were intending on making a documentary, but essentially through all of this video evidence, you get to, I don't want to spoil it, but essentially they're building this case based on all of this video evidence they're developing.
Right.
I found this documentary. It starts you Netflix. I find a little. How do I phrase this? I find that Netflix sometimes has the tendency to overproduce. I think you see this in their movies, and you also see this in the docuseries, and it's almost too polished. So the
Oh, in terms of like the quality of what you're seeing, like they're
yeah,
overproducing the
yeah,
film, or yeah, okay.
it opened in such a way that I thought, like, this is going to be corny. Like, who is this Christine Marie? Like, this looks like outrageous and like not in a good way. But I feel like it was just how they packaged the intro kind of did a disservice to the rest of the documentary. Like, it made the rest of the documentary maybe not look as serious. But anyways,
Mm.
I have a real interest in I've said this before. I have a real interest in religious movements and documentaries that look at spirituality and religion and cults and small religious communities. And so I have an interest in the FLDS in general. So this documentary was right up my alley. I really enjoyed it. I thought that after you get past the intro, it is quite interesting. Interestingly, though, Mike, normally I'm like pretty like I'm not swayed. I would say like I like what I like. Both my sister and my dad were like, "Oh, we tried to watch that and we couldn't finish it." And I was like,
Mm.
"Oh."
Mm. Okay.
They're like, "We hated it." And I'm like, "What?"
Okay.
I loved it. And like I found it
Strong
like quite
reactions.
like I found it like quite emotional at times. I didn't get into we didn't, how conversations shift and you move on. So I actually didn't get like what it was about the documentary they didn't like. My sister said she had to watch the first episode more than once. Like she couldn't get into it. I don't know.
Hmm.
So I think well my two critiques is I wanted to know more about Christine Marie because she's a very fascinating character in just on her own. Her own story is fascinating. So I would have liked to get to know her a little bit better. And Netflix loves to do miniseries. This is a better than most of the ones they do. It's only 4 episodes, and I think each episode was about 50 minutes. But in general, I think we don't. It doesn't always have to be a docuseries, Mike. Like it doesn't always have to be multiple episodes. It can be like an hour 48 documentary. This one didn't feel too bad. I often find that when I watch Netflix docuseries, by like the last 2 episodes, I'm checked out. This one held my attention pretty much all throughout because there are some twists and turns, and you're learning things where you're like, what? How is this happening? This
Hmm.
happened, I think, in like 2016. The events of it, like, it's not like this was happening in the 80s. Like, this is like recent stuff. So, anyways, I liked it. I think that if you have an interest in cultic environments, small religious movements, I think you'll find this interesting. Like I said, I think this is one of the better Netflix documentaries that they've put out recently. It probably wasn't I would say Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey might have been my favorite of the two. And I'm just looking. Oh, interestingly, I think the director of Keep Sweet also directed this one.
Hmm.
Yes, it looks like so that makes sense why both of them were quite good and the quality was pretty consistent. So anyways, for me, trust me, The False Prophet, it is a see it. I will do a disclaimer that there is, we're talking about pretty sensitive material in this documentary,
Yeah.
underage women, sexual exploitation. So I don't think it gets too sensational, and I don't think they spend a lot of time like going into the gory details. But if that kind of stuff bothers you, this is probably not a documentary for you. So just keep that in mind when going into that content.
Yeah, good to know. Before we end things off for this week, just wanted to remind people that we do still do fan questions. We have some that we'll be doing on an episode next week. as we kind of go through. But just for those who don't know how to get a hold of us, you can go to soul1arts.ca. That's SOLONEARTS.ca. Go to the podcast tab and you'll see a form fillable. Most of you find it now, but just want to remind people because we will be doing fan questions next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for listening this week.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Had Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.